Additional context. This paper presents a segment of a parole hearing transcript, which contributes to the broader field of legal studies, specifically focusing on parole processes and potentially prisoners' rights. This area is crucial because parole boards make critical decisions about an inmate's potential release, significantly impacting both the individual's life and public safety. Transcripts like these can be used in several ways, such as analyzing the language used by parole board members and inmates, identifying potential biases in the decision-making process, and evaluating the effectiveness of rehabilitation programs. The research builds upon established legal frameworks surrounding parole, including due process rights for inmates and the balancing act between public safety concerns and individual rehabilitation. Legal scholars often use transcripts and recordings of actual legal proceedings to gain a deeper understanding of how the law operates in practice. This is in contrast to a purely theoretical approach that relies solely on statutes and case law. For example, analyzing the questions asked by the parole board, the demeanor of the inmate, and the arguments presented by legal counsel provides valuable insights into the dynamics of the parole hearing and the factors that influence the board's decision. Such analysis can be used to inform policy recommendations, advocate for legal reforms, or even provide guidance to inmates preparing for their parole hearings. Moreover, the focus on accessibility for individuals with disabilities, as highlighted by the ADA review, aligns with broader societal concerns about ensuring fairness and equal opportunities within the legal system. Furthermore, research on parole hearings connects with the fields of criminology and sociology. Criminologists may examine the demographics of inmates appearing before parole boards and how factors such as race, socioeconomic status, and the nature of the crime impact parole outcomes. Sociologists might be interested in the social interactions within the hearing and how power dynamics between the board, the inmate, and legal representatives influence the process. Overall, analyzing documents such as this parole hearing transcript contributes to a multifaceted understanding of the legal system and its impact on individuals and society as a whole.
In the matter of the parole CDC number C41557 consideration hearing of Byron Bunt, Kern Valley State Prison, Delano, California 4/13/2022 12:50 p.m. transcribed by
Image summary. This is an image of the heading of a legal document. The document pertains to the parole suitability hearing for Byron Bunt, whose CDC number is C41557. The hearing took place at Kern Valley State Prison in Delano, California on April 13, 2022. Julie Garland was the presiding commissioner, and Mary Dang was the deputy commissioner. Other people present included Byron Bunt, Alfred Weissman, James Krager, Maya Emig, Emily Kohlheim, and unidentified correctional officers.
Proceedings. Deputy Commissioner Dang, we're on the record. Presiding Commissioner Garland, okay, thank you.
3 definitions. Definition 1, CDCR. California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, the state agency responsible for overseeing prisons and parole. Definition 2, Board of Parole Hearings. The entity responsible for determining parole suitability for incarcerated individuals. Definition 3, EME. L'Armée, the Mexican Mafia, a powerful prison gang.
All right, today is April 13th, 2022, and the time is 12:50 p.m., and this is a subsequent parole suitability hearing. Excuse me, Byron Bunt, CDCR number C41557. And he is present in the Board of Parole Hearings room at Kern Valley State Prison. All other participants are appearing remotely via Microsoft Teams. Excuse me. Before we get started on the substance of the hearing, I do need to take care of a couple of administrative issues. First, this hearing is being audio recorded and will be transcribed as the official record of the hearing. No other recordings are permitted. For the purpose of voice identification, I'll call on each person to state their full name and spell their last name. Just in terms of order, I'm gonna go to the Deputy Commissioner, and then I will proceed with the order that we follow as far as closing statements, and then the observer will go, so if we just follow that, that would be great. My name is Julie Garland, G-A-R-I-A-N-D, and I'm the Commissioner with the Board of Parole Hearings. Deputy Commissioner Dang, my name is Mary Dang. My last name is spelled D-A-N-G, and I'm a Deputy Commissioner with the Board of Parole Hearings.
Definition. Deputy District Attorney, a lawyer representing the government in criminal cases.
Deputy District Attorney, KREYGER. James Krager, Kreyger, Deputy District Attorney, Santa Barbara County. Attorney WASEMAN. Alfred Weissman, WASEMAN, counsel for Mr. Bunt, appearing through Microsoft Teams. Presiding Commissioner Garland, Mr. Bunt, go ahead. Inmate Bunt, I'm Byron Bunt, BUNT. Presiding Commissioner Garland, and CDCR number, please. Inmate Bunt, C41557. Presiding Commissioner Garland, thank you, and Ms. Emig.
Definition. Youth Authority, a former California agency for juvenile offenders, now part of CDCR.
Observer EMIG. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm attorney Maya Emig, EMIG. I'm an associating, attorney with Parole Justice Works. I'm observing via Microsoft Teams. I will be turning off my camera for the remainder of the hearing. Thank you so much. Presiding Commissioner Garland, thank you. Mr. Bunt, were you able to see and hear everyone who identified themselves this morning?
Definition. Correctional officer. A uniformed officer responsible for maintaining security and order within a correctional facility.
Inmate Bunt, yes. Presiding Commissioner Garland, great. And if that changes, just let me know and we can make any necessary adjustments. I do know we might also have some correctional officers in the room from time to time for security purposes. Deputy Commissioner, are we okay with the recording? Deputy Commissioner Dang, yes, I checked the recording. It sounds good.
2 definitions. Definition 1, TABE score. Test of Adult Basic Education Score, a measure of an individual's academic skill levels. Definition 2, GED. General Educational Development, a high school equivalency credential.
Presiding Commissioner Garland, thank you. The second thing we need to do is a review under the Americans with Disabilities Act, and this is just to make sure that you have all the, accommodations that you need to fully participate in the hearing today. And I note that you have a TABE score of 9.4, and you have a GED. Is that right? Inmate Bunt, yes. Presiding Commissioner Garland, okay, when did you get that? Inmate Bunt, 2009. Presiding Commissioner Garland, okay, all right. And according to our records, you have glasses assigned to you, which I see you're wearing today. You're able to see everything with those. Inmate Bunt, I see fine.
Definition. ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act, a law ensuring accommodations for individuals with disabilities.
Presiding Commissioner Garland, very good. And then the only other thing I noted in your ADA, file was that you have dentures assigned to you. Are you wearing those? Inmate Bunt, to interrupt, but I'll have to make sure that I'm getting through everything. Presiding Commissioner Garland, all right. Perfect attorney WASEMAN, and I ask Presiding Commissioner Garland, that's exactly what we want. Attorney WASEMAN, thank you. Presiding Commissioner Garland, all right. Inmate Bunt, thank you. Presiding Commissioner Garland, and we have had a couple of instances of glitches with the video there, so, if you just don't hear a question, just do exactly what you just did by raising your hand and letting me know. That's perfect. All right, counsel, do you have any additional documents or any preliminary objections or motions?
2 definitions. Definition 1, Correspondence Unit, a department within the prison system responsible for processing inmate mail. Definition 2, Relapse Prevention Plan, a strategy for identifying and managing triggers that could lead to a return to criminal behavior or substance abuse.
Attorney WASEMAN, Commissioner, thank you. I have no preliminary objections or motions. I did, however, submit a late-arriving document from Mr. Bunt. It's 3 pages. It was submitted by email to the correspondence unit, yesterday. It has to do with his anger relapse prevention plan. I don't know if the board received an email from the correspondence unit this morning, on that document. Presiding Commissioner Garland, yes, I believe we got that yesterday. Attorney WASEMAN, thank you, okay, that would be the last document I have to submit. Thank you.
Definition. 10-day packet, documents submitted to the Board of Parole hearings 10 days prior to a hearing.
Presiding Commissioner Garland, very good. We just confirm it's yes, okay, we got that. So the whole 10-day packet to altogether is about 44 pages. Does that sound right? Attorney W.S. Mann: Yes, Commissioner, thank you. Presiding Commissioner Garland: Thank you. Okay, great. All right, Mr. Bunt. It's been a while since your last hearing, and so I'll go through and explain the format we'll follow today. We're gonna start with the Commissioner Deputy Commissioner, and I'm asking you some questions about the factors that we find are relevant to your suitability. The attorneys will then have a chance to ask clarifying questions and give a closing statement, which will be limited to 10 minutes each. And after that, you may make your own closing statement, or you can rely on your attorneys if you prefer. Once closing statements are completed, Deputy Commissioner Dang and I will disconnect from this hearing and go to a separate room to deliberate, and we will come back on the record, and state our decisions, decision and the reasons for them. Inmate Bunt: Okay.
5 definitions. Definition 1, Central File. An inmate's official record containing information about their criminal history, behavior, and programming. Definition 2, Elderly Parole Statute. A law that allows for special consideration of parole suitability for elderly inmates. Definition 3, Life Crime. The offense for which the inmate is serving a life sentence. Definition 4, Criminal History. A record of past criminal offenses including arrests, convictions, and sentences. Definition 5, Parole Plans. An individual's strategy for life after release from prison, including housing, employment, and support networks.
Presiding Commissioner Garland: As you probably know, we are not here to reconsider or retry your case. We do accept as true the findings of the previous courts. Our purpose today is to determine whether your release would pose an unreasonable risk to public safety. In looking at that, we will consider several factors, and this includes your prior criminal history and your life crime, your behavior and programming since you came to prison, and your parole plans if you're released. We'll also consider your testimony today, so your responses to us are very important. We may not discuss every factor in detail. We will focus our discussion on the issues that are particularly relevant to your suitability for parole. We have reviewed, and we incorporate by reference into the record today your central file, the comprehensive risk assessment by the psychologist. The documents submitted by the board prior to the hearing, and we've also looked at the documents and transcripts from previous board proceedings. And we have reviewed the confidential portion of your file, and we will let you know if we're relying on anything in them in our decision today. We do note that you, qualify under the Elderly Parole Statute, and so the panel will give special consideration to those factors in determining your suitability for parole. And if there are any topics that we don't cover in the hearing that you think are, important, please feel free to address those in your closing statement or in the clarifying questions with your attorney. Also, I just want to let you know your attorney is appearing, remotely, but you have the right to discuss anything you'd like with him and take a break, to have that conversation. So, if you'd like to do that, let me know, and we can arrange that. And counsel, same for you. If you want to talk to your client, please just let me know. Attorney W.S. Mann: Thank you, Commissioner. Presiding Commissioner Garland: All right. So, Mr. Bunt, your testimony will be under oath today, and I encourage you to be completely honest with us. So, please raise your right hand, and I will swear you in. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you give at this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Inmate Bunt: I do. Presiding Commissioner Garland: All right. Thank you. You can put your hand down. Do you hear background noise from my end? Inmate Bunt: No. Presiding Commissioner Garland: No, okay. Was from Dr. Taubin correct? Inmate Bunt: Yes. Presiding Commissioner Garland: And you met with him, so let me make sure on, February 1st of this year. Inmate Bunt: She. Presiding Commissioner Garland: She. Thank you for that. We only have the last name. All right. Did you, when you reviewed the CRA, did you notice any factual inaccuracies or errors? Inmate Bunt: Only one thing I did see was, on the arrest history in 93, it had a prison weapon possession. It was 93 or, Presiding Commissioner Garland: We see one in 92 on your disciplinary history. Inmate Bunt: Yes, disciplinary or criminal history. Presiding Commissioner Garland, oh, criminal history. Oh, you're right. Okay. You had a prisoner in possession of a weapon on August 17, 1992, and you were not prosecuted for it though. Inmate Bunt, okay. Okay, I thought I've seen another one in 92, but I must have been mistaken. Presiding Commissioner Garland, yeah. I see one in 88 where you were prosecuted and you received a 3-year sentence, and then there's one in 2006, and another one in 2007. Inmate Bunt, yes, that's correct. Presiding Commissioner Garland, okay, so just to clarify that there's not an error in there. Inmate Bunt, that's correct, yeah, there's nothing.
Definition. Clinician, a mental health professional, such as a psychologist or therapist.
Presiding Commissioner Garland, all right. So what's your understanding of, the clinician's feelings about, your potential risk to the public? Inmate Bunt. When I was in Audible time that I had an opportunity here to sit there and go over everything for a good period of time to be able to respond that, one prior to this, it lasted only, half hour or so, and was unable to really get into a bunch of discussion with them. So this time around, I felt there was a lot of back and forth, communicating to where I was able to be able to present my views and issues in the past, a lot better. So I thought it went well.
2 definitions. Definition 1, risk factors. Aspects of an individual's history, characteristics, or circumstances that increase the likelihood of future offending. Definition 2, peer influence. The effect that the real or imagined presence of others has on how people think, feel, and act.
Presiding Commissioner Garland, good. And did you get a chance to look at, what Dr. Tobin thought, were some of your risk factors? Well, I can just read them here. The most relevant, risk factors, she noted persistent antisocial decision-making, persistent vulnerability to peer influence. Inmate Bunt, yes. Presiding Commissioner Garland, and then the self-sufficient coping strategies are limited. What are your thoughts about that? Inmate Bunt, I agreed. I think I needed to be able to get to more groups, to one-to-one to more groups, or I can understand more about, my behavior, disciplinary patterns, and not focus so much on getting to work and trying to get into my training. I agree, I neglected a lot of that, and, to be able to learn and get a better understanding of my behaviors. Presiding Commissioner Garland, all right, good. All right. So that's and you note that doctor, rated you as a moderate risk, but on the lower end of the moderate. That was the conclusion. So, and that's, a big improvement from your previous one, which I think was a high risk. Does that sound right? Inmate Bunt, that's right.
Definition. Gang, an organized group or association of criminals.
Presiding Commissioner Garland, okay. So usually what we do is I will go over some of the pre-conviction, factors, things that happened before your life crime, and then, Commissioner Dang will talk about the things that you've been doing in prison since then. I'm happy to talk about your history as much as you'd like. I don't know that it's too controversial, but I can kind of tell you what I know about it, and you can fill in the blanks, as much as you'd like. But I just want to talk about your upbringing a little bit. You were, raised in Santa Barbara County. You were a founder of a gang. You and your brother started a gang there. Tell me how that came about. And this is a long time ago, but, obviously gangs, continued into prison for you. So, it's something I'd like to know a little bit more about. Inmate Bunt. Well, this came about once I started going to institutions and see now where I was going to LA and seeing how I was meeting other guys that were involved in gangs. I kinda wanted to bring that home, Presiding Commissioner Garland. What did you like about it? Inmate Bunt, I wanted to fit in. I wanted to fit in and be a part of the guys and have that respect and part of that camaraderie. And once I got out, I was still enthused by that. And thought I could establish something here. Santa Barbara is really not an area that's highly, gang structured, and it never really developed into anything serious. It was more of a small group of us that hung out together and try to just bring up, a tide for us. Presiding Commissioner Garland. Well, you were initially arrested. I think I've read it like age 13. Was that involved with the gang or was that just on your own? Inmate Bunt. No, that burglary, that was just on my own. Presiding Commissioner Garland. Okay, all right. So did you feel like, that's pretty young to commit a burglary and be involved with law enforcement. What was going on for you that led you into that?
Definition: alcohol, an intoxicating and potentially addictive substance.
Inmate Bunt. Well, right on there, that had a lot to do with me just rebelling. I was going through a lot at home. I didn't feel that I was getting a lot of, attention or, angry. I was just an angry kid at home because of what was going on with the situation at home. The neglect, the alcohol involvement, and I would take off fighting with my brothers. Angry all the time, so I would always be out and just be rebellious.
Definition: alcohol abuse, harmful use of alcohol that may result in physical, psychological, or social problems.
Presiding Commissioner Garland. And you attribute that to what was going on in your home, is that right? And there was a lot of alcohol abuse. And then you suffered some physical abuse from your uncles, is that right? Inmate Bunt. That was when a lot of that disciplining from my mother wasn't being too afraid that she'll try to rely on either my older brother or our family members to come and discipline my brothers and it was one uncle. They were both alcoholics, but it was one that would come over and he was drunk. He was drunk and just get abusive. So that's another reason why I would just take off instead of being home and gotta be out in the streets.
Two definitions. Definition 1, offenses, crimes or violations of the law. Definition 2, heroin, a highly addictive opioid drug derived from morphine.
Presiding Commissioner Garland. All right. So, and then you racked up quite a few offenses before your life offense. And part of it seemed to be related to substance use, both alcohol and then you got into heroin as well, correct? Inmate Bunt. Yes. Presiding Commissioner Garland. How old were you when you started using heroin? Inmate Bunt. I had just gotten out of YA. I was probably 17. Presiding Commissioner Garland. How did that come to you? Inmate Bunt. And Presiding Commissioner Garland. Was that through your gang involvement?
Definition: drugs, a medicine or other substance which has a physiological effect when ingested or otherwise introduced into the body.
Inmate Bunt. No. There was no gang thing. It was, I was with one of my girlfriends. Her older brother was involved with with drugs and they were around the house and being there with him, that's how I started. Presiding Commissioner Garland. And you got hooked pretty quickly. Inmate Bunt. I didn't get hooked. I used and it was just on and off thing. Presiding Commissioner Garland. Oh, you weren't using it regularly. Inmate Bunt. No. Presiding Commissioner Garland. Your prior criminal history it's all on the record. We don't have to discuss it. If there's anything, in the CRA, that you want to clarify, you're welcome to do that, but I think we'll just kind of rely on what's in the record. Inmate Bunt. Okay. Presiding Commissioner Garland. Okay. So, Inmate Bunt. Yeah, I think I used heroin off and on for a while. Presiding Commissioner Garland. You did. Inmate Bunt. Because it's hard, yes. And, over the years and, Presiding Commissioner Garland. Right.
Definition: addict, a person who is addicted to a particular substance or activity.
Inmate Bunt. But it was just that I considered it, a bit of an addict, but as far as being like, getting strong out to where I was going through withdrawals. That never occurred to me. Presiding Commissioner Garland. Okay. What about with alcohol? Was that an addiction? Inmate Bunt. The alcohol was, excuse, yes. Presiding Commissioner Garland. Okay. And did that Inmate Bunt. That's right, with alcohol. Presiding Commissioner Garland. And you were under the influence of alcohol at the time of the life crime, right? Inmate Bunt. Yes. Presiding Commissioner Garland, okay. Why don't you tell me about, I've read about the crime, you don't have to go into detail or anything, but tell me what was going on for you, at the time of that crime? Inmate Bunt. At the time of the crime, it was a period in my life where I really felt that I didn't have too much going for me. And I was just being irresponsible. In and out of institutions, not being responsible. Not really caring for, myself or those around me. I drink alcohol to kind of escape responsibility. It was just something to kind of disguise my being insecure about myself. And Presiding Commissioner Garland, you using alcohol was like to disguise that insecurity. Inmate Bunt, it's a part of it. It just became something natural for me, to be drinking. It was mostly beer, but there was harder liquor too. Presiding Commissioner Garland. And so, on the evening of the murder, tell me what you did, definitely. Inmate Bunt, with it, I was drinking throughout the day. It started at Santa Barbara, hanging out at the beach with friends, getting together with the inaudible greater than. We decided to go out of town and meet with other friends who continue drinking, buying more liquor. I did get pretty drunk. By the time the incident occurred, it was late in the evening and I was pretty wasted by it. I don't want to say that this happened because I was drunk, but I'm sure that it had impact on it.
Definition. Victim, a person who suffers harm or loss as a result of a crime or other event.
Presiding Commissioner Garland, all right. And you stabbed the victim, several times, right? Inmate Bunt, yes, 11. Presiding Commissioner Garland, 11 times. Why stab him so many times? Inmate Bunt, yes. I've always wondered, but once we got into it, I wasn't really thinking about how many times I should have, but we started fighting. I thought he was grabbing for the knife. I pulled it out and just kept my strike until he died, until I was able to get him off.
Definition. Causative factors. The underlying causes or reasons that contributed to a particular event or behavior.
Presiding Commissioner Garland, okay. So, besides alcohol, what do you think the causative factors are, for that crime? Inmate Bunt, just my whole thought process, the way I grew up being affected by everything, and it was more than just what came about that evening. It all goes back to how my behavior throughout the past. I didn't have any regard for too much of anything or anyone, and that thought process there lead me, to be having inaudible and, to act out impulsively, to harm someone. Presiding Commissioner Garland, and you kind of talked about this, but why do you think you just didn't care about anything? Like where does that come from? Is that sort of an internal thing, or was that an external thing? Inmate Bunt, it's both, I didn't feel confident about my ability inaudible greater than I felt that it inaudible, how I was how was I taking much of what a responsible person inaudible greater than. I just didn't have that confidence, and it felt like not that I wasn't afforded opportunities. I think a lot of it was that I didn't put myself in a position to take advantage of times when I had it there. I was more, insecure about these and thought that I was getting, attention and respect from inaudible greater than, and, Presiding Commissioner Garland. So I mean, you've probably been in fights before that night, right? Inmate Bunt, been in fights. Presiding Commissioner Garland, yes. Inmate Bunt, yes. Presiding Commissioner Garland, had you stabbed anybody before? Inmate Bunt, never. Presiding Commissioner Garland, so what was different about this night? Inmate Bunt, this night was I had a knife on me, and when we start this struggle fight together, when he tried to tackle me is when I felt him, I thought he was grabbing me for the knife. He knew I had the knife on me 'cause I had it on me while I was there at his house. That's when I felt that he was gonna get it, and I don't know if I was thinking he's gonna attack me, but that's what scared me enough to where I grabbed it and felt I strike him. Presiding Commissioner Garland, all right. Anything else you want to tell me? Tell us about your criminal history or the life crime? Inmate Bunt, no, that's good. Presiding Commissioner Garland, okay, all right. Like I said, we have read it. I just wanna be sure to give you a chance to, correct anything or clarify anything that we may have read or had questions about. So, thank you for that.
Definition: pre-conviction factors, events and circumstances that occurred before the crime for which the individual is incarcerated.
Commissioner Dang, do you have any questions about the pre-conviction factors? Deputy Commissioner Dang, I don't thank you. Presiding Commissioner Garland, okay. I'm gonna turn it over to Commissioner Dang, so please defer your attention. I'm having connection issues. I'm gonna go off camera for just a bit. I will try to be right back on as soon as I get that cleared up, but I'm listening, okay. Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. So, Mr. Bunt, you had a hearing back in 2012. That was your last hearing. Inmate Bunt, yes. Deputy Commissioner Dang, you were denied for 7 years. You had a recent hearing scheduled back in August, but that was postponed until this day, right? Inmate Bunt, right. Due to the COVID initially, and then I postponed it. Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. So, 2012 was a while back. So, do you remember why the panel didn't give you a grant of parole?
3 definitions. Definition 1, SHU. Security Housing Unit, a segregated prison unit for inmates with disciplinary problems or security concerns. Definition 2, validated, officially recognized as a member or associate of a prison gang. Definition 3, associate, someone affiliated with but not a full member of a gang.
Inmate Bunt, mainly because I was in the SHU. I was validated as an associate. Didn't have no programming. I was able to get my GED in the SHU, but not much else. I was, doing AA courses, but I believe, due to my being in the SHU, SECA, Security Housing Unit, and, being validated as an EME associate, that was one of the main factors, I believe. Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right, so let's start with that. What is your status with EME now?
Definition: dropout, an individual who has left a gang.
Inmate Bunt, I'm a dropout. I'm validated as a dropout now. I got out of that in 2015. Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. Did you say 2013? Inmate Bunt, 2014 exactly. Deputy Commissioner Dang, 2014. How did you get out?
Definition: debriefing program, a formal process where a gang member provides information to law enforcement and prison officials to disassociate from the gang.
Inmate Bunt, I was, in the ADSEC unit and contacted the counselor, and let them know that, I wanted to get involved in the debriefing program. Deputy Commissioner Dang, on what program, sorry? Inmate Bunt, a dropout debriefing program. Deputy Commissioner Dang, debriefing. Inmate Bunt, to disassociate myself from the gang. Deputy Commissioner Dang, did you do a debrief? I didn't see one in the confidential file. Inmate Bunt, yes. Deputy Commissioner Dang, you did, okay. Inmate Bunt, yes. Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right, and that was in 2014. Inmate Bunt, it was completed by 2015, I believe.
2 definitions. Definition 1, ADSEG, administrative segregation, a type of prison housing for inmates who pose a threat to the safety and security of the institution. Definition 2, rule violation, an infraction of prison regulations that can result in disciplinary action.
Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. So, before you went into ADSEG, did your 2014 CANA, rule violation for conspiracy to commit murder, have something to do with you deciding to go into ADSEG?
2 definitions. Definition 1, mainline, the general population area of a prison as opposed to segregated units. Definition 2, 115. California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation CDCR Form 115 is used to document serious rule violations by inmates.
Inmate Bunt, well it was as a result of that 115 that landed me in ADSEG, and that prior to that I got released from the SHU in 2013, and was on the mainline again for a year. I got involved with the guys out there that actively involved in a gang activity and this was the 115 was something that came up. Issue with the guy out there that came to be an EME member. There was a group that was debating whether or not to attack this guy because, They felt it was a false claim and I got involved and tried to let them know that. It wasn't for them to say, make a decision whether or not this guy should be attacked. It was left out to the members and I ended up being included in that violation. Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. So was that something? From what I'm getting from your testimony, it's not something that you approved of, was to murder him. Inmate Bunt, no, I did not. No, I did not. I was one of the older guys. I had more influence and knew how a lot of the gang issues, were conducted and I didn't feel these guys were doing, being involved with the gang were doing, proper, procedure type stuff related to that, and I tried to let them know that they were gonna get themselves in trouble as a result of that. Plus, I didn't feel this guy should be attacked for, making a claim. Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. So, could you help me understand more? If you objected to this person getting murdered, why did you get a rule violation as part of the conspiracy to murder him? Inmate Bunt, because I was involved. I was actively involved with, the participants and making and debating this so that I was included. Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. So is it fair to say Inmate Bunt? And just because I'd say too that just because I was trying to get them to not attack this guy, I was just following the procedures I knew as being gang affiliated. It's just a procedural matter. How at that time I was still an active affiliate. Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right, Inmate Bunt. But I was in disagreement with a lot of the things that were going on, and that's what made up my mindset, discontinue my association. Deputy Commissioner Dang. So, in the rule violation report, the, correctional officer who reported that you were actually influential in EME, is that fair to say? Inmate Bunt, influential in EME? While I was validated for 20 years as an associate, I was back there in the SHU with a lot of the gang members. I think because I had been in prison for that period of time and I had been back in the SHU, validated, that was the influence. Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. How long were you in the SHU for? Was it 13 years? Inmate Bunt, for 20 years. Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. So, after that rule violation, you went into or you were sort of forced into ADSEG, right? Inmate Bunt, yes. As for the disciplinary process. Deputy Commissioner Dang, why did you decide to do a debrief? Inmate Bunt, I decided because it's something that I had been debating for a while because, I didn't agree with a lot of the things that were going on. And just over the years of, maturing, feeling more maturity towards things, it just felt kind of strange getting older, being involved in gang activity. What held me back for so long was that feelings of loyalty and for going against the code, being labeled, as a debriefer, that held me back. But a lot of those things up to that point, didn't matter to me no more. I didn't want to be. I didn't want to be involved, and that was pretty much the final incident that came up that changed my mind. Deputy Commissioner Dang. So, you mentioned one of the reasons was you felt like you were getting older. You're too old for, the gang life. Inmate Bunt, yes. Deputy Commissioner Dang. How old were you at that point? Inmate Bunt, I was 52, I believe, around that. Deputy Commissioner Dang. Okay, so? Inmate Bunt. I just didn't agree with a lot of the stuff that was, the deception, the greed, and everything that was going on with the, all that, what was put out about camaraderie and everything was just a big lie. They were all for themselves and to use anyone to get their needs. I saw it for myself and didn't want to be a part of that. Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. So, is it fair to say that since on the street, you were part of a gang and then you were pretty much in a gang from when you first started your term, was it 1988, until 2015? Inmate Bunt, that I was part of this association. Deputy Commissioner Dang, yes. Inmate Bunt, yes. Well, when you come to prison, you're right off the bat. You're labeled, an associate to either the North or South, gangs for the Hispanics and you just fall right into that. You're automatically put with gang affiliates. Deputy Commissioner Dang, okay. Inmate Bunt, so, Deputy Commissioner Dang, but you were pretty active, right? Inmate Bunt, yes, I was a part of it. I didn't step away back then. So. Deputy Commissioner Dang. So could you tell us some of the activity that you did for the EME? I know that you're saying that for the 2014 rule violation, you actually didn't want that inmate assaulted. Did you ever have another inmate assaulted? Inmate Bunt, I was involved in an assault that was on behalf of the gang. Deputy Commissioner Dang, okay, just one assault or were there several?
Definition: Northerner, Nuestra Familia, a prison gang primarily composed of Mexican Americans from Northern California.
Inmate Bunt, there were 2 assaults, one with the Northerner gang and one with, another guy. Deputy Commissioner Dang, another what, sorry? Inmate Bunt, an ex and exa EME member. Deputy Commissioner Dang, and, do you remember when those assaults took place? Inmate Bunt, in 1990 and 1992. Deputy Commissioner Dang, do you know what if the victim survived those assaults? Inmate Bunt, yes, they both survived. Deputy Commissioner Dang, do you know what kind of injuries that were inflicted on them? Inmate Bunt, they were superficial wounds on the initial one and slashing, the second one was a slashing assault. Deputy Commissioner Dang, wait, you said the first one is superficial wounds. Inmate Bunt, superficial stab wounds that they were. Deputy Commissioner Dang, and the other was a slashing. Inmate Bunt, yes. Deputy Commissioner Dang, did you participate in either of these by using a slashing instrument? Did you slash the victims? Inmate Bunt, yes, I did. Deputy Commissioner Dang, both times. Inmate Bunt, yes. Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. Did you ever profit from your gang membership in ways such as trafficking drugs or cell phones or other illegal items? Inmate Bunt, no.
Definition: Theft of state property, stealing items belonging to the state government, in this case, the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation.
Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. So, in addition to that 2014 conspiracy to commit murder since your last, hearing, there was also a conviction for theft of state property. Inmate Bunt, yes. Deputy Commissioner Dang, the report reads that you, the, correctional officers found 2 medical syringes on you, and you told the clinician that they weren't your syringes, but that you were holding them for another inmate. Inmate Bunt, yes. Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. Was that other inmate a member of the EME?
Definition: SNY Yard, Sensitive Needs Yard, a prison yard for inmates who require protective custody or have disaffiliated from gangs.
Inmate Bunt, no, it was here in the SNY yard. Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. Could you talk to us about that rule violation? Inmate Bunt, okay. This came up well, I was working in the canteen right here. I was told to go to the medical for an appointment from work. When I got to the medical-only cell, there was a guy in there that asked me, he was about to leave. He asked me if I would hold something for him to give to somebody else that was in an appointment with the doctor that would be coming out, if I would pass it to him when he came out. And as soon as he gave it to me and I instinctively just grabbed it because, so involved in not following the rule, as I was trying to put it away, the guards saw me. The correctional officer saw me, and I handed it over and turned out to be 2 syringes. Deputy Commissioner Dang, okay. Are you saying you weren't sure what the items were? Inmate Bunt, no.
Definition: Contraband, any item that is prohibited in prison, such as drugs, weapons, or unauthorized communication devices.
Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. I mean, is it fair to say that you should have known that they were contraband? Inmate Bunt, I just assumed it was contraband, yes. Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. So, why would you risk getting a rule violation? Inmate Bunt, exactly. It's just something, prior to that, my main thought process was being involved with the gangs and not so much, about following the rules, prison rules. So then right there was, one of those another main lessons for me that told me that, there's more to trying to follow a different path, a better path for myself, and then just getting away from a gang. It also includes following the rules. And so that was a major lesson for me. It was just something I was so involved in, something that happens normally within prison, passing items from one person to another. I didn't think of that. I didn't think of cert that I will break any rules. I was just like I was helping out another guy and following it back, I stepped back from all that.
Definition: criminal and addictive thinking. A program designed to address the thought patterns and beliefs that contribute to criminal behavior and substance abuse.
Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. So you said that was a good lesson for you. How else did you address, this idea of rule breaking and criminal thinking? Did you I see that you took Inmate Bunt. Well, it did Deputy Commissioner Dang. You took criminal and addictive thinking in 2017, right? Inmate Bunt, yes. Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. Inmate Bunt, and that Deputy Commissioner Dang, sorry, go ahead. Inmate Bunt, yes. It just that there was, exposed me to a lot more about changing my thought process as far as, including everything, about rule breaking, and trying to change the type of person that I am. Deputy Commissioner Dang, how did it change your thought process? Inmate Bunt, it encouraged me more to be not involved in the prison, rule breaking, things that were going on and wanting to do my own program. I let them know that, I'm trying to program. I want to be known as a programmer. Or I'm trying to go to the board and work my way towards getting out and not trying to get involved in any of that, rule-breaking activities that was going on. Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. So that last rule violation, it was in 2017, and then you took criminal thinking. So you started to change your mind. So after that last Rule 115, was there a time that, you used some of the things you learned in criminal thinking to avoid breaking the rules when you might have been tempted to? Inmate Bunt, I tried to use it in everything I do now. It's always been aware of where I'm at, what I'm getting involved in, what I'm trying to work towards, what I'm trying to avoid. Always reminding myself that there are things that I'm exposed to that I need to avoid. And also letting others know that not to try to include me in that I'm trying to work towards reaching my goal here for a potential release, and it's a part of my whole working out my amends, that's included to make up for a lot of the wrong that I've done, to keep my word to myself, to my family, the people that I'm in contact with, and to just own up for my past and those inaudible, those type of rule-breaking actions that always kept me down in the past. I'm trying to go a whole other course. Deputy Commissioner Dang, okay. So speaking of just trying to avoid rule-breaking altogether, by your own admission, you were very entrenched in the EME, so who you mentioned you talk to hang out with your family, or you, not hang out, but you contact your family. You try to keep to yourself. Who are your friends and associates nowadays if you're not in the gang? Inmate Bunt, my friends and associates here. Deputy Commissioner Dang, yes. Inmate Bunt, once you're the guys that even though I'm over here on an SNY yard, there's still gang stuff going on. I'm in the building now that's considered a gang-affiliated building, but since 2010 to 2016, I've avoided that. I let them know not to try to include me, and whatever they're involved in, I'm able to do that. I've been able to focus on my programming, going to work, going group when I can. It hasn't been really that hard for me to avoid now. Yes, in the past I was loyal to the EME. I wasn't deeply entrenched with their EME activity, as you asked earlier, but I know that the drug sales and that type of stuff goes on behalf of the EME. I never got involved all in that. And once I stepped away from that gang lifestyle, that includes me over here on an SNY yard, even though I'm exposed to all of it. They're well aware of my trying to the goals that I have, what I'm trying to work towards, I go to group, I hang out with guys that are in the same mindset as I am, trying to program and, improve themselves and, that's where I'm at and inaudible to try to improve that. Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. And have you taken, Criminal Gangs Anonymous? Inmate Bunt, yes.
Definition: 12-step program. A set of guiding principles outlining a course of action for recovery from addiction, compulsion, or other problems.
Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. And that is a 12-step program, right? Inmate Bunt, yes. Deputy Commissioner Dang, yeah, do you work the steps? Inmate Bunt, yeah, I try to. Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. So what is that like for you? Have you worked all of the steps of CGA? Inmate Bunt, I did. The steps is similar to the AA steps. Deputy Commissioner Dang, right. Inmate Bunt, I try to apply that to everything I do. I don't feel that I have to have, with the gang stuff. I don't feel that I really need, to be included. I'm more confident in myself and what I could do and what I put work towards, and I don't feel that I have to be accepted. I don't feel that I have to, include myself, in criminal, activity, to be labeled, as a gang member or anything. And, Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. Speaking of NA and AA, so you've taken NA, right? Inmate Bunt, yes. Deputy Commissioner Dang, I see you've taken it in 2019. Inmate Bunt, yes. Deputy Commissioner Dang, have you worked all of the steps? Inmate Bunt, I try every day. That's always a part of I'm trying to always be conscious of that and I have, there's been times that I'm still, I've taken things that are inaudible greater than, Deputy Commissioner Dang. Well, I guess in a way, sorry to interrupt you. But I guess what I'm trying to get at is at some point, what your progress is in working the steps. How do you at some point work all of them, 1 through 12? Inmate Bunt, I try to apply all of those, owning up to it, admitting to it being a problem. It's been a problem all my life. And Deputy Commissioner Dang, well no, I guess you're not understanding my question. Have you worked every single step at some point? Inmate Bunt, yes. Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. Inmate Bunt, I'll say I have. Deputy Commissioner Dang, and your testimony today is that you might not work the steps every day, but you try to. Inmate Bunt, I try to be conscious of them. I always carry them around.
Definition: anger management. Techniques for controlling and reducing anger, including relaxation techniques, cognitive restructuring, and communication skills.
Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. And since your last hearing, did you complete the anger management program? Inmate Bunt, yes.
Definition: substance abuse. Harmful or hazardous use of psychoactive substances, including alcohol and illicit drugs.
Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. So, let me see, it's been a while since you had a violent RVR, a long time, but anger, definitely anger and substance abuse, those were definitely factors in your life crime. So tell us how, when you get back out in the community or even now, how you have been, managing your anger.
Definition: coping skills, strategies, and techniques for managing stress, emotions, and difficult situations.
Inmate Bunt, I confronted it. I know it's admitting first that I had anger issues and, it was, the insecurity within myself, and my surroundings and that would create that anger. My inability to associate well with others, my inability to, communicate effectively. I would get embarrassed. I'd be frustrated and it was just, I was so used to seeing family members and everyone else react in an aggressive, way and, being angry that I evolved into that. So whenever I was confronted or put in a situation where, I didn't really have the coping skills to resolve an issue, I would act, I would get angry, I would act aggressively to confront it. But, if I felt challenged in some way, I would, just to possibly, respond in a negative way. It's just recognizing that that could always evolve into something, to where, I'm either getting in a fight or getting overly, aggressive, that I know needs to be dealt with, so that I'm able to control that anger and not just deny it. It's just a normal deputy commissioner dang. Okay. Inmate Bunt, it's just a normal emotion. Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. Let me just kind of stop you there. You did write, an essay about anger management. And could you tell us what your triggers are for anger and some of your coping skills? Inmate Bunt, my triggers are just, feeling feelings of insecurity, frustration, and, just an ability to effectively communicate in other ways and, like that. Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. And how do you cope with those triggers? Inmate Bunt, I really confront it and I try to think of a solution and think of how in the past it had a negative effect on me and work more towards trying to resolve it. And I just controlling that anger. Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. When is the last time that you got angry? Inmate Bunt, it's more work related than anything towards another person. Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. Was there a situation where, you got angry or someone did something to make you angry and you used some of your coping skills to de-escalate the situation?
Definition: violence, behavior involving physical force intended to hurt, damage, or kill someone or something.
Inmate Bunt, there's been things that have gone on, especially when I'm living with someone that, we've had issues in the cell that we don't agree with it, that it becomes an issue to the point where it needs to get confronted. I've always been able to, instead of resulting to, making it escalate into, to an argument or, to where a point where we might fight, I try to de-escalate it by bringing it up, letting them know that I dealt with this in the past. It's a matter of us, trying to adjust and to work and to both adapt to, being comfortable with, being in a situation like that where we have to live together and, it's not in the past, I would take it more, like he was gonna listen to me or not. Now, I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to work it out so that we can both be comfortable and just resolve the issue and not blow it up to where it escalates to, violence. Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. So, one of your anger management coping skills is to de-escalate. So, what you just explained to me sounds like, you'd rather talk it out and de-escalate the situation, as opposed to try to control the situation. Inmate Bunt, right. That it's okay to disagree and you try to see another guy's point of view or, and then, and work with that instead of making it creating a problem, more problems. Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. So let me, go back briefly to your drug use. It sounds like, heroin and alcohol has been a problem for you in the past. Inmate Bunt, yes. Deputy Commissioner Dang, looking at your disciplinary history, the last time you got caught with anything, substance-related, was a 1989 possession of alcohol. So, when is the last time you consumed alcohol?
Two definitions. Definition 1, white lightning, a type of homemade or illegally produced alcohol. Definition 2, pruno, an alcoholic beverage made illegally in prison.
Inmate Bunt, in 2016, I drink a shot of, White Lightning, and I believe that one was, 2007, the disciplinary. But it was in 2016 again, I drink, another shot of Lightning. And then while I was in the SHU, I was drinking Pruno. Deputy Commissioner Dang, okay, I remember reading the shot of Lightning. Well, that was after you got out of the SHU. Why did you drink that shot of Lightning? Inmate Bunt, it was more of, well, because I wasn't thinking of, not trying to step away from wanting to drink. It was more out of curiosity to see how strong this drink was. I took a shot and I was pretty surprised by how strong it was and that was it. Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. When is the last time you used drugs? Inmate Bunt, in 2013. Deputy Commissioner Dang, were you in the SHU? Inmate Bunt, no, I had just gotten out the SHU. Deputy Commissioner Dang, okay, what drug did you use in 2013? Inmate Bunt, heroin. Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right, so what prompted that heroin use? Inmate Bunt, someone offered it to me. And it just brought back old addictive feelings in the past and I wasn't able to refuse it. I accepted it. It was a small piece and, I snorted it and it wasn't much, but I was willing again to try it. Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. Had you been, afforded the opportunity to try heroin again since then? Inmate Bunt, yes, I have. Inmate Bunt, yes, I have. Deputy Commissioner Dang, when was that? Inmate Bunt, pretty much continuously. It's everywhere. Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. So, heroin is obviously something that you liked in the past. How are you able to avoid taking heroin since 20? Well, first, I'll ask, why did you decide to stop after that 2013 use? Inmate Bunt, well, I saw it as being a problem for me here, because, one thing, I couldn't afford it, and I didn't want to spend money to get it. And I had seen others get in trouble because of it and I wanted to avoid that, and over time it just, wasn't something that always came up that made me crave. It just those feelings to wanna get high I was getting past that. Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. So is it fair to say that since you've been offered heroin since that last use, it's been easy for you to refuse it? Inmate Bunt, yes. Yes. And a lot of that is Inmate Bunt, yes. Yes. And a lot of that is wanting to follow the steps and wanting to better myself, I know that's taking me back to a past that's, has a potential of escalating to something else, and it's just one of those factors that are included in taking the steps back from where I'm trying to go. Deputy Commissioner Dang, okay. So you've been pretty good since about 2016 with alcohol, and in 2013. So, do you think that you're good or as far as substance abuse? Inmate Bunt, I was Deputy Commissioner Dang. Or is it something that Inmate Bunt? I'm doing good now, but I'm always gonna see it as a threat because it's always gonna be there, It's there now. It's probably gonna be there a lot more when I'm out there. The more I'm able to avoid it and to know how it's affected me in the past, and how it has a potential to set me back. I just always want to remain aware of that. Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. So, what I was getting at is, you are working the steps now. I don't think you're participating in a group, but is that something you're gonna continue, when you get out of custody? Are you gonna continue going to AA? Nah. Inmate Bunt, yeah. Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. Inmate Bunt, yes, I would like. I got the contacts now.
Definition. Victim impact, the emotional, physical, and financial harm caused to victims of crime.
Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. And also, you've taken victim impact. So I want to know from you, who did your crime or your life crime impact?
Definition. Remorse, deep regret, or guilt for a wrong committed.
Inmate Bunt, my life crime impacted. One of the things that I noticed I was doing was, and rightfully so, is victim of the family. At the time, I was someone who, I pretty much didn't have any sense, or regard for that feelings of others. And when this happened, it was so hard when I did that, seeing the family in court. It just really tore me up that I was responsible for, I had a lot of remorse for the family, but it's the victim too. This is a guy that, he invited me into his home. Even though we are like drunk, acting, in disrespectful, because of his fiancée, her behalf, we walked a bit. We walked the city as friends, and it just turned out to be, inaudible or for my victim. For his family, his motor mother, Maria Connie, his sisters, he had 3 sisters, his mother Frances, Connie was the oldest daughter, Christina, his sister Diana, his brother, Vincent was there with us at the house. It had a major impact on them all these years. His daughter, he had a daughter in the house. She was only 9 months old, daughter Sabrina, that there, but they're friends. I sure have impacted the officers that were involved, the seer there, everyone. Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. What kind of emotional damage do you think you did to the victims? Inmate Bunt, it's the worst possible for anyone, a loss of a life, you know. Their love for their brother, their son, it's just something that's gonna affect them all their lives, you know. It was a horrible crime and, I stole from them, the life and love of a family member, and they're always gonna be reminded that, of that loss every day.
Definition: remorse letters. Letters written by an offender to express regret and empathy for the harm caused to the victim and their family.
Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. Have you written remorse letters to the victim or his family? Inmate Bunt, I have, before. I don't know if they ever received it, but I've written one. I believe you had that for the last, 1 year or two.
Definition: counseling chrono. A written record of a counseling session or incident involving an inmate.
Deputy Commissioner Dang, okay, all right. You also have, I did mention this when I was talking about your disciplinary history, but a January 2022, counseling chrono for refusing a medical docket. Inmate Bunt, yeah, that's something they have to do here for procedural thing, if I wasn't able to make it to an appointment. I didn't know I'm written up for it. It might have been, I forget what they call it, but it's just refusing a medical appointment that I'm always able to reassign up to, reassign for. Deputy Commissioner Dang, okay. Inmate Bunt, I was either at work or didn't get ready in time. Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right.
Definition: post-conviction factors, events and behavior that occurred after the conviction.
Commissioner, Garland, would you like to ask Mr. Bunt anything about his post-conviction factors?
Definition: MEPD minimum eligible parole date.
Presiding Commissioner Garland, I have one question, Mr. Bunt. You were sentenced to 15 to life, I guess, 18 with the, enhancements, and your first MEPD was back in 2006. And I'm just wondering, why did it take you so long to get out of the gang? You didn't need to be here this long, right? Inmate Bunt, no. And I asked myself since I stepped back, why did it take me so long? I had inklings about getting out of it while I was in the SHU. It was just that I was more worried about thinking of myself as being weak that I get away from it and being, considered a dropout, how it would be perceived by everyone that held me back, that knowing I was into the gang, that I should have applied to wanting to do good instead, that held me back. And I mean, that was just one of the, inaudible about myself that I had to get over, and not really be concerned about what other stuff, how long it's gonna be proceeding, stepping away from the gang. And in fact, once I did step back, more family members and friends, got back in contact and were asking me the same thing. Why did it take you so long? They didn't want to be in contact with me because I was inaudible greater than. Presiding Commissioner Garland, okay. That's only, inaudible parole plans.
3 definitions. Definition 1, Lompoc Police Department, the law enforcement agency responsible for policing the city of Lompoc, California. Definition 2, drug treatment counselor, a professional who provides support and guidance to individuals struggling with substance abuse. Definition 3, Community Solutions, Inc., a reentry program that assists formerly incarcerated individuals with their transition back into the community.
Deputy Commissioner Dang, yeah. So we reviewed your letters of support. There's actually a letter of opposition from the Lompoc Police Department. I reviewed a letter from a family friend, Victor Vega. He's also a drug treatment counselor, and someone named Molly Barbie, the Community Solutions, Inc. It sounds like a reentry program in Santa Barbara. Did any family members write you letters of support? Inmate Bunt, yes, my sister Carol, Solis, my cousin Maria Mendoza, my son, Daniel Inaudible greater than and friends. Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. Inmate Bunt, another na and support contact, Alfred Stun, Manuel Lopez. Deputy Commissioner Dang, what do you mean support contact? Is he, Inmate Bunt? He's friends, that I've known for years. Her son, had been involved in gangs and alcohol drug abuse in the past that had gotten out and, got himself together as, got off parole, and he's involved in, meetings out there, and he's, waiting, to be, work as, act as a sponsor for me. Once I get out.
2 definitions. Definition 1, transitional housing. A temporary residence for individuals who are transitioning out of incarceration, homelessness, or other difficult situations. Definition 2, transition. The process of changing from one state or condition to another.
Deputy Commissioner Dang, okay. I didn't see any acceptance to transitional housing in your 10-day. Inmate Bunt, I tried to contact several, They told me they can write inaudible COVID or, to contact them as soon as I got out, or have my parole officer contact them as soon as I got out. Deputy Commissioner Dang, okay, all right. You do have a relapse prevention plan for anger. Did you write one for gang membership or substance abuse? Inmate Bunt, just the alcohol and the environment, that inaudible greater than, but not the gang involvement. Deputy Commissioner Dang, okay. Inmate Bunt, I can't. There's no way I could go back to the gangs because I'm labeled now as a dropout, and that's to be avoided at all costs because that could cause problems for me. I'm no longer accepted. Deputy Commissioner Dang, all right. Okay, I think that's all I have to talk about with you. I'd ask that you turn your attention back to Commissioner Garland. Thank you. Inmate Bunt, thank you.
Definition. Candor, the quality of being open and honest in expression, frankness.
Presiding Commissioner Garland, thank you, Commissioner. One final question for me before we go to clarifying questions. You said earlier when I asked you about the CRA and what the clinician said about your remaining risk factors, you said you would agree, which I appreciate your candor. Do you think you're suitable for parole, and if not, what do you think you need to do to become suitable? Inmate Bunt, there's always room for improvement. I feel that this is a ongoing thing for me I might have to deal with the rest of my life. Confronting my past, what I'm responsible for, and that's one of the challenges that I accept now, and look forward to all these, trying to find solutions. Using whatever resources are available, the family contacts, the support that I have everywhere, and the ones that will be included, the ones I'm able to reach out to them and or meet. Am I ready for parole, for release, being back out there? I think the main question is do I trust myself to avoid or ever putting myself from reacting to a situation where I'm gonna get aggressive or violent? I trust that I know enough and I feel enough regret and shame and understanding now that that's never gonna happen. I feel over the years the maturity that's been involved and understanding of the impact that I've had on everyone's life, the crime itself, and even other crimes I've committed, the fact that the impact I've had on the community, everyone involved. I feel I work towards having a better understanding of that and look forward to just the amends, making up for the wrong I had done. To my victims, Presiding Commissioner Garland, all right, thank you for those. Inmate Bunt, Kathy, everyone. Presiding Commissioner Garland, all right. I want to note for the record also, we do have another observer. Emily, I think you're on. I'm gonna need you to, state your appearance on the record just so we have that. Observer KOHLHIM, hi, my name is Emily Kohlheim. I'm a guest. Presiding Commissioner Garland, all right. And can you spell your last name for the record? Observer KOHLHIM, yes, it's KOHLHEIM. Presiding Commissioner Garland, all right. And you are associated with which organization? Observer KOHLHEIM, the California Reentry Program. Presiding Commissioner Garland, okay, thank you, all right. And again, Mr. Bunt, just like Ms. Emig, she's just an observer, not participating in the decision-making or in the hearing today. So, thank you for that. All right. Would anyone like to take a break, or we're good to go into closing statements? All right, so no hint. Inmate Bunt, Presiding Commissioner Garland, you're okay, Mr. Bunt. Inmate Bunt, yes, man. Presiding Commissioner Garland, all right, all right. Mr. Krager, do you have any clarifying statements, to the panel to ask Mr. Bunt? Deputy District Attorney Kreyger. With, I don't wanna make it sound complicated, but, Commissioner Dang asked about the January 11th, 2022, and the opening sentences says on January 11th, 2022, Inmate Bunt refused to report to his medical docket appointment. And he kind of explained that, but there was another one before that, November 4th, 2021, with the same exact opening statement, and the last sentence of it says, he was advised progressive discipline. Will continue with any future refusals for not attending the scheduled medical appointment. And we untied that in with, we know that he had a lot of trouble with authority figures, certainly as a young person, that inaudible greater than attorney WISEMAN. Deputy DA, sir, a Deputy District Attorney Kreyger. Yes. Attorney WISEMAN, inaudible that I hear coming from the Deputy DA, I don't mean to be rude or disrespectful, but I'm waiting for a question that my client can answer. I haven't heard any question. Deputy District Attorney Kreyger. That's where it's going right now, Mr. Weissman. Attorney WISEMAN. Well, I have no Deputy District Attorney Kreyger. If he could clarify his position on authority figures now, what's so different in rule following, even when they're very minimal or, in his mind, small rules that, he's supposed to comply with? Inmate Bunt, I agree. Presiding Commissioner Garland, okay. Hang on, Mr. Bunt, what we do with the questions from the DA, he poses them to me, and I will, I'll let you know if I want you to answer them, but I want to clarify Mr. Krager's question. You want to know what his attitude towards, authority is, even if it's a minor. Deputy District Attorney Kreyger. Yeah, even with me minor rules, because there are two of those that happened very recently, November of 2021 and January 2022, and his position on authority and following even small rules. Presiding Commissioner Garland, all right. Mr. Bunt, the DA wants to know Inmate Bunt, that's fine. Presiding Commissioner Garland, wait. Inmate Bunt, I don't mind answering it. Presiding Commissioner Garland, I can't hear you, what? Inmate Bunt, I'm sorry. I don't mind, I'm okay with answering any questions that he has as far as this. I don't really. Presiding Commissioner Garland, hang on. Okay, hang on. The way it goes is the DA poses the questions to me. It's not that you're not willing to do it. I appreciate that you are. It's just a procedure that we use. He needs to ask them to me, and I'll decide whether I think it's important enough for you to answer. It sounds like you understand the DA's question. You can go ahead and answer it.
Two definitions. Definition 1, free staff. Prison or jail employees who are not inmates such as guards, medical staff, or administrators. Definition 2, medical personnel. Healthcare providers such as nurses and doctors who work within the correctional system.
Inmate Bunt, okay, thank you. Okay, as far as authority figure thing, I've always had an issue with that in my past. That's one of the problems that I had. I didn't have respect, for anyone in an authority position. I felt that it was something, because of the person that I was, that they were someone that were opposed to who I was as a person. That was one of the big flaws that I had. And I guess that goes towards what you're bringing up now is it wasn't a matter, regardless of what, a correctional officer or a free staff or a medical personnel, the respect I have for everyone, I think I've shown that. And, over the years, this was, a matter here where, I may have been advised in it. I'm sure I was advised at that time that it could have gone to a disciplinary, action if it had continued. But there's times when we're asked to go to medical where, we're unable to come out. I work in the medical facility, so, I could usually go right there or they could bring me. There's times for security rules where I'm unable to make it. And so that's kind of the problems that go on here. It's just an administrative thing, but it's not that I refused it. I want that medical attention. I have medical concerns that I have to deal with, so, I'm not gonna avoid anything to create, problems for the medical staff or for, the COs here. So, Presiding Commissioner Garland, okay. I think you've answered the question about authority. So Mr. Krager, do you have any other questions? Deputy District Attorney Krayger, no, that's good, and he did answer. Thank you. Presiding Commissioner Garland, all right, thank you. Mr. Weissman, do you have any clarifying questions for your client? And Mr. Bunt, for your information, you go ahead and answer your ques. Your client, I'm sorry, your attorney's questions directly, okay? You don't need to wait for my prompt. Inmate Bunt, okay, thank you. Attorney Wisman, thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Bunt, when you were discussing the crime that sent you to prison, the stabbing, Inmate Bunt. Yes. Attorney Wisman, you talked about getting angry. Do you recall that discussion with the Commissioner? Inmate Bunt, yes. Attorney Wisman, angry. Okay. There's a comment in the comprehensive risk assessment where it's attributed that, when you were discussing that, you said you had a robust discussion with the forensic psychologist. You related your propensity for anger then to childhood issues when your mother would place you in placement or there was insecurity in the home. Is that an accurate reflection of your thoughts that you discussed with the psychologist? Inmate Bunt, that's all part of it. Attorney Wisman, okay. Inmate Bunt, these are Attorney Wisman. So, the psychologist seems to feel that insecurity or that anger might have been, a motivating factor for you to eventually join up with the very negative peer group that you joined, the one that you and your brother created, and then the ones in the prison. Is that something that you believe reflects your thoughts? Inmate Bunt, it was a result of those feelings of fear and neglect that I feel we had to create. I had to create my own type of family. For that protection to get around those fear issues. Attorney Wisman, okay. So we've talked that the negative peer issues, the anger, which, its direct connection to violence. And then, of course, according to the reports, your BA blood alcohol level was, tripled almost, the legal limit. At least, that's the projection at the time of the crime. Inmate Bunt, I did. Attorney Wisman, did you assume that alcoholic beverages, that you would be triple the legal limit at the time? Inmate Bunt, I was drinking beer in the early afternoon and then towards the evening I was drinking tequila. Attorney Wisman, okay. Inmate Bunt, I know I was real drunk because the girl I was with, I was always calling her by another name, so that showed everything right there. But, I don't want to blame what happened on alcohol. Attorney Wisman, no, of course not. So Mr. Bunt, also kind of clarifying something from the psychologist's, report. On page 11 at the bottom, and I'll quote, and it said, violence and violent intentions, and this is speaking of you, appear to have ceased altogether, with Mr. Bunt's disassociation from the Mexican mafia, suggesting how significant for Mr. Bunt peer influence and violent attitudes are for him. So, is that accurate sentence? Inmate Bunt, that's very accurate. Attorney Wisman, from the gang goes to that deep, all of that, no more violence. Inmate Bunt, no more violence. That was, I was trying to avoid them. I would get involved because you would feel obligated to participate. I felt that over the years I was able to avoid getting involved in, a lot of the, activity that they were involved in, trying to finesse my way. The different ways to stay away from it. And there was just times that I, for one reason or another, out of loyalty, because I did consider myself active, that I would participate. But once Attorney Wisman, you did. Inmate Bunt, once I stepped back, that's I have no issues about trying to get involved in any kind of. Attorney Wisman, I'm hearing, there's some noise in the background. Are you able, Inmate Bunt? I missed the last one. Attorney Wisman, yeah. I wanted to ask you about the Delancey Street. You have, a letter of communication that they responded to your request to Delancey Street got 2-year, intensive drug rehabilitation program, live-in. Are you interested in, attending Delancey program? Inmate Bunt, anyone that would accept me. Delancey, they responded, letting me know that I would have to get out and have a face-to-face interview with them, but, that is, a program that I've been hearing about for quite a while, and they have a good reputation of helping people out. And, I think that would be, a big help for me. Attorney WISEMAN, okay. So Delancey doesn't give, prisoners, acceptance letters. They require your right. Inmate Bunt, no they don't. Attorney WISEMAN, require you to go out and enroll. But my question for you is a little different. Inmate Bunt, right.
Definition: Delancey Street Program, a residential self-help organization that provides vocational training, education, and social support to individuals with a history of substance abuse and criminal behavior.
Attorney WISEMAN, did you know about the program? Do you know, what a great reputation it has and, how well run it is? If the board were to grant you and make it a special condition that you would live at the Delancey Street program for some period of time, would you be willing to accept that condition as a condition of parole suitability? Inmate Bunt, I sure would. Attorney WISEMAN, okay, thank you. Inmate Bunt, yes. Attorney WISEMAN, no more questions, Commissioner. Presiding Commissioner Garland, all right, Mr. Krager, would you like to give a closing statement on behalf of the DA? Deputy District Attorney KREYGER, yeah, just briefly. I'm not gonna talk about the crime or any of that. It's documented well. I read the CRA and I put a note right on the front of it. I'm looking at it now, and I put down mixed bag. That's concerning, Mr. Bunt. Because obviously, there are some positive steps that have been taken, and the, Commissioner acknowledges those, I acknowledge those. But then he talks about some other things that aren't so good, and it comes around to where it, in my own mind, it looks as though Mr. Bunt has turned the corner, and shown some maturity and is trying to distance himself from a lifelong involvement with gangs. 20 years in the SHU. EME participation for most of his prison sentence. And I know that the law doesn't require a lengthy period of time for an individual to show that they are no longer an unreasonable risk for public safety. But I get back to the CRA, and on page, 14 in the top paragraph, it states, the first full sentence. Mr. Bunt will need to establish greater self-sufficiency in the manner of his impulses. In the event that the help or positive influencing needs in the moment is challenged, are not readily available. This will likely require participation in programs that target coping strategies and criminal thought patterns. So, that's the ambivalence, by the clinician transfers over to me, and some of that, idea of the mixed bag part. And then, at the very end of the report, it's the last two sentences, the Dr. Tobin says, given these improvements and advancing age, the examiner did consider a low-risk rating. However, with peer influence and antisocial tendencies contributing significantly to his violence, historically lingering concerns in these areas still need to be more completely addressed through relevant programming as described above. And I was really left with the lingering concerns because that's where I ended up, lingering concerns about whether Mr. Bunt is ready for a date today. And I kind of fell down on, I wanted to be like the clinician, because every once in a while, I sit here and say, for particularly all gangsters, they're older now, they're mature, they've learned, and I don't see why they don't get a date. But then I fell back on the low, moderate, and the lingering concerns, and I don't think Mr. Bunt is ready today. I honestly have to say that. I know he's gonna get a date. I think he needs to be farther from that corner that he turned, in case he starts to backtrack because the corner is awful closed, to snap back into a lifetime of what he was involved in with negative peers. And obviously, with that being said, a 3-year denial I wouldn't say any more than that would be needed, but I would like to see him get further down the street, on the right street, from the corner that he turned, which was the wrong street for most of his life. Thank you, that's all. Presiding Commissioner Garland, thank you, Mr. Krager. Mr. Weissman, do you have a closing statement?
7 definitions. Definition 1, green-lighted, marked for violence or death by a gang. Definition 2, recidivism, the tendency of a convicted criminal to reoffend. Definition 3, mitigating factor, a fact or circumstance that reduces the severity or culpability of a criminal act. Definition 4, prosocial, behavior intended to help or benefit others. Definition 5, empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. Definition 6, violence risk, an assessment of the likelihood that an individual will engage in violent behavior in the future. Definition 7, family support, the emotional, social, and practical assistance provided by family members.
Attorney WISE Mann. Yes, Commissioner. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioners, for your time and attention this afternoon for Mr. Bunt. Inmate's position by the counsel, he is suitable for parole and he should be granted a date of release. We base that on evidence presented at this hearing, both his oral testimony and writing to have been submitted, as well as, the comprehensive risk assessment and other, chronos in his general file. My comment on Mr. Bunt's testimony today is that it's given a great credit though. I believe the board can trust what Mr. Bunt had testified to. He's, of course, under oath, but he's very clear to be accurate about what he was saying, went to great pains to explain himself so that he didn't need ambiguity there. He was very open and transparent. And I know the board is very much looking that is the person testifying doing so with credibility. And I believe the board, based on his testimony, they can find that he was testifying with credibility. Moreover, in terms of the suitability faculty, I'd look at the fact that he does take responsibility and takes accountability for all of inaudible, including the crime that sent him to prison. He doesn't make any excuses for it. He doesn't blame the victim, and he doesn't find anybody else. And in fact, he went out of his way to again say that it was my choices to do what I did. He doesn't use his upbringing as an excuse or the relationship with his mother or the neighborhood that he grew up in or any of them. You know, I'm sure, older gang rumors that were involved with him and his brother, that we'll never know about that. He basically takes accountability for it now. Now, what's important for the board, I know, he does the person, the offender, understand why he came to prison in the first place? Does he have insight? And I believe we can come to the conclusion that he does. The evidence supports that. I would just quickly look at the comprehensive risk assessment, page 13, the middle paragraph. I'm not gonna read the whole paragraph, but it says, what was notable regarding Mr. Bunt's self-awareness, that there were signs of it inaudible greater than. His discussion of his childhood history included current reflections about the impact of his past, including how these occurrences influenced choices made in adolescent and in adulthood. And then skipping down a sentence, and he is acutely aware of the negative impact of his poor choices and can acknowledge the contribution of his substance use to his problematic and, at times, violent behavior. Inaudible internal pressure of needing attention and respect, and how that has played out in terms of both community and prison violence. He has a reasonable understanding of how his behavior had affected others, and has noted that his positive changes had propelled him in renewed family connections and support. He has full acceptance of this. He does not appear to have significant problems with insight that might contribute to violence risk at this time. So, we see that he has an understanding of the insight and decisions he made, the causative factors that influenced him to making a terrible choice that day. But he also shows remorse for that choice. He's expressed it today to this panel, I believe, very sincerely. And he's talked about that was a worst possible, thing that he did. It was a horrible crime. It's affected, his, love, the loved one of the victim, all of their lives, and that was very sincere. And when he spoke to the clinician, he responded at the top of page 13, when asked about the impact of his crime upon others, he tearfully responded that was the evidence presented by the clinician, and at the end, it said, I'm sorry that the inaudible had been so horrible. It's really been tough, having to face that pain and sorrow to the family. That's one thing, just taking inaudible the victim's life inaudible greater than the victim's family like that, putting them through the pain, really tough. This is a man with genuine and heartfelt remorse, genuine empathy for the pain and suffering he caused others. So now, we look past that and we see, well, what about programming? What has Mr. Bunt done? Well, we see that, Programming is that Mr. Bunt, according to the comprehensive risk assessment, he's acknowledged the importance of seeking out programming, such as mental health that could support his efforts to avoid his more ingrained, inaudible community. So he has inaudible, and I'm not gonna inaudible because the deputy commissioner did a fine job of relating his AA and PrEP, victim and awareness, CGA, anger management, criminal addictive thinking courses he's taken. But it's clear he has a focus on program, and that I would note that that's a mitigating factor because it doesn't mean that he has to complete all the programming. If the mitigation comes from the fact that he knows what's the relevant programming to take and he's taken it, it would address the causative factor that brought him here. It's a mitigating factor. Beyond the programming being a mitigating factor, his offender change is mitigating as well. We see on page 14 of the CRA, and I'm glad that the deputy DA brought it up, but perhaps you left out a little thing. When it comes to talking about elderly quality, speaking of my client, the forensic psychologist said most critically, he, meaning Mr. Bunt, has distanced himself from violence in more recent years, which has decreased his risk considerably. He currently possesses a high motivation. Inaudible participated in rehabilitation, programming Inaudible with positive changes, both internally and externally. And then if you go all the way back to page 8, it talks about him working in PIA and upgrading his work skill because though he's not actively participating in a vocation, he's inaudible because of COVID. And if we go further, we look at a quote where they talk about I think it's on page 11 where they talked about the fact that he's continuing to be motivated to address his criminal thinking. And so the forensic psychologist said something very important on this case. He says that the pathway to violence, on page 11, the primary pathway to violence is the influence of antisocial and violence-endorsing peers, coupled with his own entrenched antisocial belief system. Well, Mr. Bunt has completely disassociated from the Mexican mafia, from any prison, completely and irrevocably done so. He would be green-lighted and executed would he ever to try to associate, but that's not why he's not going to associate. It's because he's made this firm and subtle decision. He's not going back he'll never go back that way. There's no evidence of him in gang involvement in an SNY yard, and there are very dangerous gangs in the SNY yard. There's Inaudible and other gangs are all over the place. He could get right back into it if he wanted to. There's no evidence he's done so. That's a clear, bright, and a clear change of the most important causative factor, according to the psychologist. That and his anger, and he's put on record his management program, he's talked about it extensively. He's taken a lot of programming about that, and really, he's changed. He has prosocial now contacts with family and friends as he's testified. The forensic psychologist notes it too, including his son. So, he's now living a whole different life. A whole way of living his life. Now, I'd ask the board to give special consideration to the fact that his age, because it's a statistical fact that lengthy age and advancing age will reduce recidivism greatly. And that's gonna be a mitigating factor too. The fact that he not only is of elderly parole, but that he's grown and mature, that he's clearly a different person than the person that came to prison. And it's well over 30 years, maybe it's 34 years ago. It's a long time, and the recidivism rate for those who have been released from prison after all that time is remarkably low. In the area of parole plans, he has robust and viable parole plans, a lot of supportive sponsors out in the community that can help him with, if he has any triggers or, substance abuse and or, gang participation, I supposed. He has family support. He has, testified today that he is more than willing to go to transitional housing, the Delancey Street program, which is a 2-year program, very high success rate dealing with people who had a substance abuse addiction problem. He's testified he is a recovering addict. So, for all of those foregoing reasons and the fact that he has mitigated in all of the important area, it seems that based on the evidence presented today and his truthful and honest testimony, my client, Mr. Bunt, is suitable for parole and should be granted a date. Thank you. Presiding Commissioner Garland, thank you, Mr. Westman, Mr. Brown. Would you like to give a closing statement, or you certainly may rely on your attorneys instead? It's up to you. Inmate Bunt: Yes, ma'am. I appreciate the opportunity to do that. I want to thank all of you for participating and hearing me out. I want to thank my attorney and I'm fine with that. Presiding Commissioner Garland: All right. Thank you, sir. It is 2:32:39. Deputy Commissioner Dang and I will be disconnecting from this hearing, going into a separate room, to deliberate, and we will come back on the record to state our decisions and the reasons for it. It usually takes at least 15 to 20 minutes. So sit tight and we'll be back as soon as we can, hopefully around 3 o'clock, 2:39 off the record. Deputy Commissioner Dang: We're off the record recess. California Board of Parole Hearings Decision. Deputy Commissioner Dang: We're back on. Presiding Commissioner Garland: Okay. The date is still April 13th, 2022. The time is 3:10 p.m., and all parties who were present before the panel's deliberations have returned. The fundamental consideration in a parole suitability hearing is whether the inmate would pose an unreasonable risk to public safety if released, and a denial of parole must be based on evidence in the record of the inmate's current dangerousness. Mr. Bunt, based on the legal standards and the evidence considered, we find that your release would not pose an unreasonable risk to public safety, and we therefore found you suitable for parole. That's all to you. I see this, all right. Inmate Bunt: Thank you.
9 definitions. Definition 1, subjective, based on or influenced by personal feelings, tastes, or opinions. Definition 2, aggravating factor, a fact or circumstance that increases the severity or culpability of a criminal act. Definition 3, static factors, historical aspects of an offender's life unlikely to change, such as prior criminal history or age at first offense. Definition 4, PrEP programs, parole readiness and education program PrEP, designed to assist inmates preparing for parole. Definition 5, PIA programs, Prison Industry Authority, a self-supporting state agency that provides job training and work opportunities for inmates. Definition 6, sobriety, the state of not being under the influence of alcohol or drugs. Definition 7, supervision, the act of overseeing or directing someone's behavior, especially parolees under the guidance of a parole officer. Definition 8, credible, believable, and trustworthy. Definition 9, incarceration, the state of being confined in prison or jail.
Presiding Commissioner Garland: All right. So, Mr. Bunt, I'm gonna go through, how we came about our decision. This will be reviewed. It's not gonna be final for a while, so I want to be sure that our record is clear about how we came to this decision. So bear with me for a bit, all right? All right. So, in making our decision, let me just explain the evidence that we considered. We did, look at the Central and Master Byron Bunt C41557 2022 decision page 1 files, the comprehensive risk assessment, the transcripts and documents from your prior parole proceedings. We also looked at the documents you submitted in the 10-day packet. We considered your testimony today, as well as the input from the Deputy District Attorney and from your attorney. We did look at confidential information. In fact, we did go back and looked at your DD briefing report. We're not relying on anything, so, we're not putting any of that on the record. But and in making a decision, we didn't just look at one factor alone. We considered all of the evidence and, determined whether the factors, aggravate or mitigate your risks. So, I'm gonna go through those and explain how we came out on each of those things. One thing we did look at was the comprehensive risk assessment. We talked about that today. The clinician found that you would pose a moderate, but a low-moderate, risk of future violence, which means you do pose a somewhat elevated risk relative to other long-term offenders. But it certainly does not equate to an unreasonable risk, as far as the clinician's assessment. We also took a look at the elderly parole consideration factors, and we find those to be mitigating. We did give special consideration to your, age of Byron Bunt C41557 2022 decision page 260, your 34 years of incarceration, as well as, some diminished physical conditions, that you're going through. And so, we find in general, those do reduce your risk for future violence, and that's a mitigating factor. The two historical factors we looked at, are the criminal and parole history. Not surprisingly, we find yours to be aggravating. I'm not gonna restate your entire criminal history. It is laid out in detail in the record. But you did have an extensive criminal history as a juvenile. You were in and out of custody beginning at age 13 and 14. You violated, your conditions of release many times. As an adult, you also committed multiple crimes that increased in severity, including an assault with a deadly weapon in 1981 for which you went to prison and then the life crime itself, and you violated parole when you were out on custody. Also, aggravating is, offender control. The life crime and your history, reflects a lack of self-control. You were associating with negative peers who engaged in criminal conduct, gang, conduct, and substance use. Your life crime in particular was impulsive. It was a violent overreaction to the threat that was posed to you at that time. It showed Byron Bunt C41557 413 2022 decision page 3 callousness, and a disregard for the impact of your crime on the victim and the community, and you were abusing substances, which had, a destabilizing effect on you and also led you to lose some self-control during the life crime. These are static factors, They don't change, but what we also really looked at, especially with somebody who's been in prison, as long as you have, what have you done since and how have you changed? And so let me go through those factors as well. The first one we look at is programming. And a few years ago, this would have been aggravating. But you've really stepped up pretty robustly since about 2016. We've noted that the risk factors that the risk assessment noted, including substance use, gang involvement, antisocial, behaviors, things like that, they have been addressed, through active participation and completion of programming. Again, I won't read everything. It's already in the record, but we do note that you completed, numerous programs including AA and NA, Lifers for Change. You've done prep programs, CGA, which I'm sure was an important one for you when you talked about today, anger management, and then you also went through programming, with the Byron Bunt C41557 413 2022 decision page 4 transition, to being a gang dropout. One thing that, we felt today was, you've not just taken and participated in those programs, but it was evident today that you've really internalized what you've learned in those programs. You were really able to sort of easily explain, what you learned in those. And some inmates struggle a bit, because they maybe just learn the concepts, but they don't really know them inside, and we felt like you did. So that was a mitigating factor for us. Institutional behavior, is kind of a mixed bag, to use Mr. Krager's term. You have a significant disciplinary history of serious misconduct in prison, many related to violence and substance use. Your membership in the EME for many years, it was clearly, an aggravating, factor. You already spent 20 years into the SHU because of that. You've, but since then, you've really turned the corner. Again, we use Mr. Krager's, analogy there. And we find that it's basically a neutral factor. It didn't necessarily weigh as an aggravating factor, but because we are not gonna disregard what, you've done in the more distant past, but currently it's more of a neutral. We did, discuss your more recent RVRs, Byron Bunt C41557 413 2022 decision page, 5 the 2014 and the 2017. Both are serious RVRs and we don't discount them, but we do find that your explanations today about those were credible and, consistent with the record and maybe, standing alone, they might look a little bit worse than they actually, I think, were in reality. So, ultimately, we do find that you've been discipline-free for several years. And after debriefing from the gang, you've really turned the corner into pro-social behavior. And so, you're on the right path there. The other thing we did notice is you've gotten, some good work reports, for several years, in your PIA programs, and your supervisors have noted a good work ethic. And also, that you just do good work. So, those are also good signs on your institutional behavior. We found your release plans to be mitigating. Both as the clinician noted and we talked about today. You've had some good concrete, realistic plans. You've reached out to support programs, including Delancey Street and Community Solutions. You have family support, from your siblings, and you're willing to do whatever it takes as far as the transition, and we can tell that that's an earnest belief there. We also found that you had an essay on anger Byron Bunt, C41557 2022 Decision Page 6 Management, and a relapse prevention program or plan for anger management. You've acknowledged that you need to continue with NA and AA, and you seem open to any other services that might ease that transition, and that, really shows a good sign that you're setting yourself up well for parole. And you also seem to really understand, the challenges that you're gonna face in the community, and how to address those. So again, I feel like you've set yourself up in a good way for that, and not everything is lined up 100%, but you've got things in place that are gonna help you. So finally, the crux of what we look at is offender change. Have you changed enough so that you're no longer a risk to the public? And we find that that is a mitigating factor. You have clearly demonstrated change, growth, and maturity. I'll go through some of the main things that we considered. One, I've talked about a bit, your disciplinary history. We've talked about the last violation, back in 2017. We do note that you've had those chronos that we discussed. We're seeing those a lot from Kern Valley, and it seems like, sometimes, the inmates don't even know they've received them. So we're not giving that a whole lot of weight. Even though Byron Bunt C41557 2022, Decision Page 7, they were recent. But basically, we find that your behavior in prison over the last 5 to 6 years demonstrates a true and sustained change and shows you've developed the coping skills, to deal with conflict resolution and substance abuse. And you also are showing a much, better response to supervision. So this shows a lack of criminal thinking and definitely maturity. We also noted, you have a really good understanding into your past criminal history, and I noted the same paragraph that your attorney quoted in the CRA about your self-awareness, and I've looked at a lot of CRAs, and I have to say that that was one of the most positive about an inmate's insight and self-awareness that I've ever seen. The clinician went on to discuss how you've, as it started, it was notable that your self-awareness was evident throughout the interview, is what the clinician said, and it was on the various topics. Everything from your childhood, and the impact of that and your criminal conduct, your behavior and the gangs and your criminal history, and just, in general, found that you had very strong insight into everything that you've been through, and we found that as well today. You have clearly accepted responsibility for your Byron Bunt C41557 2022 Decision Page 8 crimes, so you don't minimize or deflect blame, not only for your crime or your criminal history, but also for your conduct in prison. It was refreshing that you weren't trying to make excuses for anything, and we appreciate that. You've also, demonstrated that you have an understanding of, and the remorse for the specific harm that you caused your victims. You seemed very genuine in that today. We noted that you have maintained sobriety for 6 years. You were able to articulate several coping skills, for your risk factors. You demonstrated a good understanding of your triggers for relapse, and you've seemed to understand the challenges ahead. And as we discussed, your discipline-free, behavior has been, demonstrates that you understand pro-social relationships. You are fostering those now, rather than the negative relationships that you've had throughout much of your life. We also found that, your debriefing with the gang was notable. You went to a step that not everyone takes. It's a challenging and time-consuming process, and a potentially dangerous process, but you went through it and you provided helpful information to the institution, and your disassociation that the gang is is seems clear and Byron Bunt C41557 413 2022, decision page 9 indefinite. Just on a subjective note, Commissioner Dang and I both found today that you were very humble and sincere and genuine in your approach to with the panel today. You didn't hold anything back. You didn't try to oversell. We found you very credible and, trust me, I don't always say that. So, that really meant a lot to us and it makes us feel confident in our decision today. We know that it will be a challenge for you, but we, feel good about where you are and, it's been 34 long years, but, we really wish you the best. Let me, Inmate Bunt, thank you. Presiding Commissioner Garland, let me just say too, this decision is not final. It will be reviewed by the board for up to 120 days. It will also be reviewed by the governor. He'll have another 30 days. So that's 4 to 5 months at least before you're gonna find out whether this grant will stick. And I can see you're shaking your head like that's okay. Inmate Bunt, it's fine. Presiding Commissioner Garland. So just know that and continue on the programming that you're on as far as, good behavior and doing everything that Byron Bunt C41557 413 2022, decision page 10, you are try to get more lined up with parole plans. Maybe with having a date, or having a grant, you might be able to get some more acceptance letters, things like that. So put an effort into that over the next few months. I'm sorry, it looked like you wanted to say something. Did you want to say something, Mr. Bunt? Inmate Bunt, no, that's exactly what I'm already thinking. Yeah.
2 definitions. Definition 1, DAPO. Division of Adult Parole Operations, the division of the CDCR responsible for supervising parolees. Definition 2, Parole Outpatient Clinic, a medical facility that provides healthcare services to parolees.
Presiding Commissioner Garland, good for you. All right. So, like I said, it's not final. You will be notified in writing if there are any changes to this decision. So I'm gonna go through, some of the conditions. You will be under the regular conditions that DAPO, imposes on you. And just to be clear, we want to impose some other ones in case they are not covered, but, be sure to report to the Parole Outpatient Clinic upon release, reside in transitional housing, I would say a minimum of 6. But if you could do a year, it's probably a good idea. Not every place will do that, but, I know you talked about your Delancey Street with your attorney, that's a 2-year program. That might be a great move for you in light of how long you've been in prisons. It's gonna be a challenging transition. Also, abstain from alcohol. Don't enter places where the primary source of revenue is from alcohol, such as bars or liquor stores. Don't possess or consume any controlled substances, including marijuana or THC, which is now legal in California. None of that. Submit to anti-random testing for alcohol and controlled substances. I don't think this will be a problem for you, but just be sure to abstain from any gang, relationships, activity, anything. I'm sure your agent will talk to you about that as well. And don't have any contact with the victim or the victim's family, unless approved by your parole agent. And definitely participate in a substance abuse, relapse prevention program, all right. With that, unless there are any questions or comments, Inmate Bunt. Thank you all very much. Deputy Commissioner Dang, Inmate Bunt. I appreciate your consideration and that, grant, Deputy Commissioner Dang. Yeah, I just want a presiding Commissioner Garland. All right, and Commissioner Dang, I apologize. Did you have anything to add, Deputy Commissioner Dang? I just want to add for the record that I concur with the decision and good luck. Byron Bunt C41557 413 2022, decision page 12 Inmate Bunt. Thank you all very much. Deputy Commissioner Dang, Inmate Bunt. I appreciate your consideration and that, grant. Deputy Commissioner Dang? Yeah, I just want a presiding Commissioner Garland. All right, and Commissioner Dang, I apologize. Did you have anything to add? Deputy Commissioner Dang. I just want to add for the record that I concur with the decision and good luck. Byron Bunt C41557 413 2022, decision page 12 Mr. Bunt. Inmate Bunt, thank you. Presiding Commissioner Garland, all right. with that inaudible participation. Attorney WIS man, would it be okay that after you leave the room that my client and I stay on for a couple of minutes? I want to advise him on just some follow-up before he gets his final release. Presiding Commissioner Garland, okay. Attorney WIS man, is that Presiding Commissioner Garland? Yeah, that's fine. Attorney WIS man, is that's all right. Presiding Commissioner Garland, Mr. Bunt, Inmate Bunt, okay. Presiding Commissioner Garland, you heard that don't log off on your end yet. We will be doing that. It is 3:28 and we are off the record. Good luck to you, sir, thank you. Inmate Bunt, thank you. Deputy Commissioner Dang, we're off record. Byron Bunt C41557 2022, decision page 13.
Image summary. The image shows a transcript of a conversation between Presiding Commissioner Garland, Inmate Bunt, and Attorney Weissman. The conversation covers topics such as the inmate's glasses, dentures, participation in programs, medications, and any other accommodations needed. The inmate confirms he has glasses and can see fine, but does not have his dentures with him. The attorney mentions the inmate sometimes has difficulty hearing through the video and may need accommodations, such as speaking slowly and repeating if necessary. Image summary. The image shows a transcript of a conversation between Presiding Commissioner Garland and Inmate Bunt. They discuss the inmate's age, both currently and at the time of a crime, as well as the length of time the inmate has been incarcerated. The commissioner asks if the inmate had the opportunity to review the comprehensive risk assessment from the psychologist.
Adjournment. Certificate and Declaration of Transcriber. I, Roderick Massada, am a disinterested party and have no interest in the outcome of the hearing. Further, I certify this transcript is a true, complete, and accurate record, to the best of my ability, of the recorded material provided for transcription of proceeding for. In the matter of the parole CDC number C41557 consideration hearing of Byron Dale Bunt, Kern Valley State Prison, Delano, California 4/13/2022 12:50 p.m. signed, Roderick Massada, transcribed by Roderick Massada, Conduit Transcriptions. You have reached the end of the document.